welcome. The show is in honor of, and it's a show for veterans, and we try and give timely advice to veterans and their families and anybody in the public who's generally interested. We enjoy bringing this show to you. We've been doing it for, I guess, about 8 years now, Paul. Yeah. And well, Paul, what do we have today?
Well, today we have a service officer, John Bartow. He's the service officer for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And John, why don't you give us a little description of what your job is and what you do for veterans?
Okay. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me again. I am the department service officer for the Eastern region of New York. So basically from Syracuse to up north Plattsburgh down to Montauk, Long Island. Our job ideally is to manage a network and gather information from a network of our VFW service officers, VFW accredited county service officers, and provide the best advocacy and legal representation, claims assistance, education's benefits assistance, burial assistance, basically all things VA benefits to our veterans. The job ends up spinning off into other things quite often, depending on the situation, because we're all human beings and humans have different needs. But our main mission statement is and we're best known for assisting veterans with their claims. I think what a lot of people might not realize is there's a lot more to it. So assisting veterans, finding healthcare, finding all kinds of resources out there, ranging from homeless veterans to widows to you name it. So I can go on, but that's the gist of it there in a nutshell.
If you had a veteran or a veteran's family that needed some type of assistance, how would they get in touch with you, John?
Okay, there's several different ways. First, for those people that like to use the internet, they can go to the VFW website, and they'll see a thing on there that'll say find a representative. They can go on there, put in your state, and it will come up with representatives from all over New York. I would say for those of our veterans in the New York City metropolitan area and Long Island, the first thing that comes up on your screen is Buffalo. If you scroll, you will see Albany and New York City come after that, and you'll find our contact information. So our contact, the best number to get a hold of us is area code 518-626-5687. Now, a quick note, the way that we're working during COVID, we are working remotely from home. So Destiny, our claims consultant, she checks the messages every day, and we kind of put work tasks in our computer system. So she lets me know, hey, these are the people you have to call and in what order you need to call them. So we are trying to get back to people as quickly as possible. I would like to put another note in that during this COVID pandemic, there is an increase in demand for our services. People are hurting financially, they're hurting physically, lots of challenges. As you guys know, it's challenging for every single person and veterans as well. But yeah, once again, 518-626-5687. We strive to return calls within 4 to 5 business days at the most. Generally, we get back to you within 48 hours. And depending on the severity of your case, maybe sooner, might be a little later.
Okay. Well, I'd like to, John has been down here in the studio with us 3 times previous. He's been very helpful. And as far as helping a veteran, I know personally firsthand that they go all out for you to get it done. And John certainly did. So I'd like to personally thank him at this point for everything he's done for me, as well as the other veterans.
It's my pleasure. I love my job. I love it.
I think it's important to note that you don't have to be a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars to get this assistance, and there is no charge for the assistance. So that to me is a very important thing. And I like to think about putting a claim in, for example, with the VA, is kind of like doing your taxes the first time. You really need somebody who knows what they're doing so that you don't screw it up and get it sent back for technical reasons, or, you didn't fill in the right box or something like that. So very important to get somebody who knows what they're doing and knows what's going on today in the VA, because it's likely different than it was a month ago or 6 months ago. So very important service, again, free of charge to veterans and their families. The important point you have to do, veteran or family, is you have to reach out to John.
Right. John, you said, we talked a little bit about the Veterans Evaluation Services, which is actually private contractors that evaluate each case that comes before them, that's given to them to verify. And you said there's some advice you wanted to give to veterans with regard to those exams. So
Yes, sir. Yes, this is very important for veterans that have pending claims that get contacted by the VA for an exam. There are several companies that do contract exams for the VA. The VA has, for all intents and purposes, they've switched over to all contract exams. I have not heard of any in VA exams in quite a while now, quite a few months. I was told by VA leadership that they were transitioning to this, so this was expected. Okay. We see a varying degree of quality in these exams. We see some that knock it out of the park. They're beautiful. They do a great job. We see some that are well below par and not what our veterans deserve. So what the advice that I give veterans, you're going to be contacted by any number of companies. I'll tell you some common ones right now. LHI is one. So that's Lima Hotel India, LHI. QTC, Quebec Tango Charlie, and VES, Victor Echo Sierra. These are all contract companies that the VA uses. The bottom line advice that I give guys and girls, you will get a phone call from one of these companies if you have a pending exam, and they'll say, hey, Joe Snuffy, we want to schedule you for an exam sometime in the next couple of weeks. The first thing that you should say to them is, okay, sir or ma'am, may I have your first and last name? And write it down and say something politely to the effect of, I just want to make sure that our communication is interpreted the same on your end and my end. Because what we have seen is these contractors have called veterans and said, oh, you're going to Florida next week. We'll call you back in 2 weeks. And they end up reporting that the veteran canceled the exam, which is not good because the VA will deny the claim at that point. So we want to make sure things are interpreted correctly, and that the veteran doesn't end up losing out in the exchange of information. My first bit of advice to everyone, whenever I finish a claim on somebody, I will tell them, make sure you get to this exam. You know, I've had veterans that didn't take it seriously enough. They end up getting a denial and getting very upset. Now, I will say this. If you get denied for your claim, it doesn't mean that you lost your date, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to get it approved, but it does mean there's going to be a significant delay. When VA denies a claim because of an exam, missed exam, they will simply say, let us know when you can make it and we'll reschedule you. But this adds months, at least 2 months to the claim. So that's something that all of us want to avoid. I want to avoid it for our vets, and of course our veterans want to avoid it as well. So back to the original advice, get their first and last name, the name of the company they work for, and write it down. That way, if there's a problem, I can go to bat for you with the VA and say, whoa, 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 the veteran simply said that they couldn't make that specific time. They did not cancel the appointment.
Is there any advice on the distance, for example, that some of these evaluations might be from your home? Because a lot of our veterans have difficulty traveling.
Yeah, and that's a huge concern, both with exams and board hearings. There's a computer system that puts in your zip code, and the name of your town. And for those of people that live in metropolitan areas like New York City, Southern Connecticut, Northern New Jersey, sometimes it comes back with you should go to Hapog, Long Island from Staten Island, not realize, the air distance might be 40 miles, but that might be a 3-hour drive. Discussing that with the contractor, once again, get their name, explain to them that, that this is very difficult for me to do. And we come across this a lot. We really do. Offer them solutions maybe that, like for instance, Staten Island, the veteran, you might want to say to this company, hey, do you have anything in North Jersey I could go to? That might be a lot easier.
Than getting into Manhattan or even to Halpin, for example.
Yeah, like go to New Brunswick or something like that. It's a lot easier than getting into Manhattan,
I had to call them myself because they gave me an appointment in Tuckahoe, New York, which
Yeah.
for me is a 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, and that's
one way.
probably only 20 air miles, right, Ed?
Yeah,
As the crow flies. Yeah,
but
understand that.
I told them there's no way I can make it.
Yep.
And they did give me an alternate location, but it took a month and a half before I got the alternate location.
Yeah, and that's common. That's all. It's unfortunate. That's the one thing about the VA not conducting exams that is really unfortunate, because when the exams were conducted at VA hospitals, most of us are within arm's reach of a VA hospital, and it was much easier.
How about other veterans' claims and appeals? What are you seeing with regards to timelines and appointments for meetings with the VA, things like that? Are they being done in person, or is everything remotely?
Okay, good question. What we are seeing since this COVID pandemic is actually pretty good news. The VA, so VA is divided into 3 parts, like we've discussed before. It's like the DoD, it has 3 branches. It has the Veterans Healthcare Administration, Veterans Benefits Administration, and the National Cemetery. The Veterans Benefits side, which I have the most exposure to, has been outstanding. They haven't really missed a beat, other than the initial wave of COVID, where exams were pretty seriously delayed for obvious reasons with the lockdown and everything. A majority of their raters and developers for claims work remotely from home. So it's kind of like they were already set up for it. There's been very little delay with claims. And one thing that's been very interesting is that the Board of Veterans Appeals has transitioned to a virtual hearing model, which is wonderful. And it's not only sped things up at the BVA, they are looking at potentially doing this forever. And I would agree, because I literally have done appearances in front of a judge right here in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. And it's worked out great, and so we've had some veterans that were waiting on appeals that traditionally would take several years. They're getting it done in less than a year on these big board hearings, and it's really, really cool. The hard part, I actually have an example, wonderful gentleman from Staten Island, who was deaf, and he could obviously, it'd be very difficult for him to conduct a virtual hearing. It was difficult because my leadership did not approve me to travel to New York City to be next to this veteran in the hearing. So I had to ask our VA partners to assist me in bringing this gentleman that was hearing impaired into the regional office and get him appeared before the judge. So there are some challenges there.
Sure.
And some of our older veterans that, aren't savvy with Zoom or the computer. It's difficult for them, it is. And so that's some of the challenges that we're facing. I think that covers your question as far as claims turnaround time. It's doing pretty good right now. We're on track.
Good.
Yeah.
One of the big items that has come up, at least in my experience with veterans recently, is aid and attendance, and what that is, who is eligible for that, and then how are those claims being processed?
Okay. So there's two things, and people will commonly confuse them, and I want to address both. So there's aid and attendance, and there's the caregiver program. Okay. Caregiver recently expanded, and I'll address that first. So what the caregiver program is a veteran's healthcare administered benefit that allows a veteran who has issues ranging from one end of the spectrum to the other. So you might have a veteran with severe PTSD who can't stay on a medication schedule because they get confused, and they need someone to help them administer their medications. Or you have a veteran that is impaired in their mobility. They can't reach cabinets, prepare meals, toilets, stuff like that, and they require a caregiver. This is a very comprehensive VA supported program where a caregiver is in the proximity of the veteran, actually supporting the activities of daily life, okay, such as medication, bathing, feeding. They are usually they're a family member or someone that lives with the veteran. They can receive a stipend from the VA for performing this. And they're there to kind of take care of the veteran. So that's caretaker. Now, who's eligible for that? They recently expanded it to veterans that served prior to May 7th, 1975. So that should alert everyone. That's our Vietnam era veterans. You have to be 70% disabled by VA, and your case will be reviewed by a caregiver manager in the hospital. So it's kind of a healthcare issue. We can get you pointed towards that person. Like, hey, give this guy a call. He'll discuss it with you. And then from there, it's a veteran's healthcare issue. So the program goes prior to May 7th, 75 and after September 1st, 2001. Okay.
Yep.
So what's missing? A lot of our later Cold War era veterans are missing out of that program. VA
Gulf War.
and Gulf War. Yes, sir. VA wants to expand into that program realm. They want to that's coming. They say that's forthcoming because as you can imagine, this program is extremely expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But it's good that they are expanding into those areas. And that was October of this year that they expanded to the May of 1975.
Okay.
So that's caregiver. Aid and attendance. And I'm really glad you brought this up. This is a very misinterpreted benefit. Okay. Aid and attendance is when a veteran requires assistance with their activities of daily living, just like we said with caregiver. Okay. Yep. But a lot of people think it's a fix-all that, the VA is going to pay for a visiting nurse to come into our home, or the VA is going to pay for, this exorbitant amount for assistance. And it's really not a lot. It's several $100s to help offset the cost if you have a visiting care person, or let's say you have a veteran whose son or daughter is helping them. That several $100s is to offset the cost of maybe gas, that they spend getting to the home. That program is an applied benefit. So that's administered by the Benefits Administration, and a VSO like myself can help determine your eligibility for aid and attendance and apply for the benefit for you. It has to be for a service-connected disability.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, though, well, in the case of the veteran, if a widow is receiving a widow's pension,
Yes.
survivor's pension, they can be eligible for aid and attendance. But the big thing I want to stress with this is it's kind of sad because it is not a fix all, and caring for someone that is severely impaired or at the end of life is very expensive. It's very exhausting, and a lot of people kind of think the VA is going to rush in and help them at this last moment, and end up disappointed when they realize, wow, they're only giving me a couple $100, and this visiting care person costs $2,500 a month, let's say. Now, the key is call us, ask us about it, and then my special request for anyone listening: this is widows, family members, and veterans. Please do not wait until you're in a nursing home or the person is at their end of life. I'm not telling you that we will not assist you. We will, of course, assist you. Really try and be proactive and start looking at this ahead of time, because it's really sad. We see a lot of cases out there where, an adult daughter, 60, 70 years old, will call, what can you do for my dad? And it's very disappointing a lot of times for all of us, because it's like, wow, this gentleman's 95 years old, or lady's not, there's not much we can do at that point. And it's really sad. So any veteran listening to this, any family member listening to this, give us a call. Let us get you that information beforehand, so we're ready to go if something happens. Also, too, I know I'm kind of going long-winded, and I apologize.
No, that's fine.
No, you keep going, John. You're on the roll today. You're good.
I want people to take the time to go on New York State Veterans Homes on the web, on the internet. Look into the New York State Veterans Homes. They're wonderful facilities. If you have an eligible veteran that is able to go into the New York State Veterans Homes, you're obviously limited by location, because they're only in certain places, but they're wonderful. They are incredible facilities if you can get into it.
We've talked a couple of times about the Blue Water Navy veterans and how they are now, in many cases, eligible for the presumptives from Agent Orange. Do you have any update on that?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, we're seeing less claims than we thought. We called it the blue wave. When this was going into effect at the beginning of last year, we were like, wow, it's going to be this huge amount of veterans coming in, and it's actually been less than we thought.
So you are actually seeing some claims awarded then from these cases?
Not only am I seeing them awarded, early on in the year, I saw VA being proactive and actually doing these without me even putting in a claim for the veteran. There was a couple of veterans that I knew personally that were Blue Water vets, and I opened up my system, my VA system, and I was shocked. Whoa, they're working a Blue Water claim for Joe Snuffy here, and we didn't even do it yet. So they've been. I'm happy with the way VBA is handling Blue Water so far.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it is. It's very good news.
We've got a few minutes left in the show. Give us any other updates that you think are important to get out to the veterans, other than the first step is they've got to call you to get in there.
Obviously, I would ask everyone to be patient, not only with us, but each other, with the hospital staff. I have had some time in the hospital. It's kind of very heartwarming to see the veterans are being very nice to one another. Let's face it, we're in turbulent times, politically turbulent times, with this health crisis. Veterans are really, there's this vibe at the hospital. Like, people are like, okay, I'm rolling with this, so I would encourage everyone to keep doing that, keep being patient. Veterans Healthcare is trying to expand their services as much as they can in light of the pandemic. Telehealth is awesome. You know,
Yes, Ed had a great experience with that just this week.
yeah, telehealth is fantastic. If you can get yourself set up with that, I would say that, so with all this positive stuff I'm saying, let's talk a little bit about the negative. If you feel that you are being mistreated, make sure you contact the patient advocate. You know, continue to advocate for yourself. Continue to get a hold of me. If you, for instance, let's say you go to 23rd Street VA and there's a problem that you've had due to the pandemic, give us a call. We will give you the number of the patient advocate and get it in. You know, a lot of times it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. But I've found VA to, I don't know, I'm going to maintain my opinion. They've been heroes in this crisis.
Excellent.
Yeah, they've been doing really well. Now, I don't know how the COVID treatment is working for veterans in the VA hospitals down there right now. You know, you could always call the hospital and ask for that information. I know that Albany VAMC and Montrose and Castle Point are all posting excellent outcomes for their veterans. That
I've heard the same anecdotally also down here. So
did you really? Yeah.
Tracking, but anecdotally, of course. Again, I'd like to wrap this up with, again, give us your contact information. And again,
Sure.
veterans and families, the most important thing you can do is take the first step and call, email, however you've got to get in touch with John. But
Yep.
you need that first step taken by you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the contact information is area code 518-626-5687. And the first person you'll speak to is Destiny Ramos, and she will kind of triage you. She'll either answer your questions and do what you need done, or if she thinks that I need to handle your case, she'll forward it to me. But we work together as a team, and we will at the very least get your questions answered, and we'll figure out what you need to get it done.
Excellent.
It's so important for veterans to pay attention to the tips that we're giving you, pretty much, because there are things that you're entitled to, but you need somebody to guide you through that maze to get to the other end where the pot of gold is and get fixed up. And John is an expert at this, and he and all of the other people from the VFW that are out there helping, they give 110% all the time, and they give it their hearts. I can't thank you enough, John.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much for having me. I always love this, and
We'll
hopefully see you.
We'll do it again.
Hopefully see you in person.
Oh, that's even better. You've been watching in honor of. We thank you for watching. We love you for watching. And we're going to continue to bring you more advice on how to be a successful veteran. Thank you.